Chapter 44. Slowly, my composed self was regained and control came. Now, because of my killer heels, my head reached his head equally, and equally, I returned his burning glares of my own vision. It's a pleasure to meet you. The sole of my heel tapped in the marble tile of this residence. Mr. Damiano, I added. Matulis at nakakapako sa kinaroroonan ang mga titig na binibigay sa akin ni Gab. Napupuno yun ng umaatikabong galit at nakakapasong pagtingin. Unti-unti akong ngumiti sa kanya. Inilalagay ang buhok sa kabilang balikat. His bloodshot eyes followed the movement and burned patches on my exposed skin. The trail eventually met my eyes. Seems like it'll be a serious business you two will dedicate yourselves to. Aking komento at saka malambing na kumapit sa braso ni Arjun. My hair was dangling at one side and my expressive eyes was taking in everything that was thrown at me. Umigting ang panga ni Gab at unti-unting tumaas ang aking kilay. His hair was a little shade darker, I noticed. The clothing that he's used to did only less to cover how thick his muscles had become. From his neck to his shoulders and down to his legs. It was pure muscle. Every business should be a serious one, Miss Canaveri. Bahagya ang pagkaplas nito sa pang-ibabang labi gamit ang kanyang thumb. Kumislap sa ere ang kanyang diamond cufflinks at mamahaling relo. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure about that. I batted my long jet black eyelashes at him. Ang aking action ay parabang panggatong sa lumalagablab na apoy sa kanyang mga mata. Humigpit ang panga ni Gab at nagbadya na ang kunot noo. Muntik na ako mapabunghalit sa sarkastikong tawa. I matched his piercing eyes effortlessly. Nagkaroon ng hidwaan sa aming pagtingin. Ngunit ang kanya lamang ang lumalaban. I was just simply laid back, watching what will be his next move. My mouth twitched in amusement and his eyes followed every corner, every curve, and the even texture of my chosen lip color. Due to natural phenomena, one strap of my cami top glided downwards. Napailing na lamang ako roon at kagad na sinubukang ayusin. Gab was scrutinizing every layer, every detail of me. I was so sure that the changes in me was the source of the wrath in his eyes. Pero, sadly in his part, he was no longer in control. I'm sorry, I had to talk to my tita. She'd misheard the venue so I called someone to pick her up. Mayroong mga kamay na siyang tumulong sa akin sa pag-ayos ng aking strap. There were no traces of corruption in Sian's careful hand. Thank you. I smiled at Sian and untangled myself on Arjun's biceps. Mas lalo lamang naging ebidente ang puot sa mga mata at sa mukha ni Gab. His palms were turning into fists, knuckles turning white. Mariin ang kanyang tingin sa aking balikat at sa kamay ni Sian. My eyes rolled heavenwards, a mocking grin threatening to break into my face. So, where do you want to go, Chris? Bulong sa akin ni Sian. Nag-isip ako ng mga lugar ngunit matagal na rin akong hindi nakakapunta rito. I don't know, you pick. Oh, I hate it when you say that. Kumunot ang noo ni Sian sa akin ngunit kumikislap ang kanyang mga mata. Shall we, Mr. Damiano? Yaya ng aking pinsan. Nagkibit balikat muna ako kay Sian bago hinarap ang dalawa. Don't take too long, Arjun, and remember, most opportunities are traps. Like a wolf wearing a sheepskin, so I smiled widely at my cousin. Will do, thanks. Nakipagbeso ito sa akin bago umalis. Ang kaba sa kanyang puso ay ramdam ko din. Ito ang kanyang unang proyektong hahawakan and I felt bad for him, putting up with people like Damiano. Habang sila ay paalis, kinakausap ni Arjun ang isang veterano na sa aming industriya. But no matter how interested the subject is, those hunting eyes always learned to follow where I'd be. Nakalingon pa rin sa akin si Gab. Nagnanakaw ng mga nag-aapoy na tingin. He looked so ready to kill. As I was standing regally, a solid, fierce look in my eyes and a shadow of a man behind me, I figured looking at this man will always be a mistake, a scene. But the important thing is, I was standing firm on my ground. If not for fear, sin would be sweet, they say. It was all true. Only I wasn't afraid of this man, of his influences, or of his power. What I was afraid of was to fail. The impurity of him and me together, and I had never been so grateful to fear for something. Nilingon ko na ang aking paligid at si Sian. Umalis na kaming dalawa doon. Sa isang mala-vintage na restaurant kami kumain. Hindi yun masyadong kamahalan at naging overdressed pa ako. Katabi namin ang anyong tubig at kumikislap ang mga ilaw sa refleksyon. Pagkatapos kumain ay hinatid ako ni Sian pabalik sa unit. That wasn't so bad, komento niya. His boyish grin taking over again. Are you expecting it to be? Tinaasan ko ito ng kilay but I agree with him. That was a decent one kahit na puro pagbibiro ang ginagawa. It's his forte. Matagal na tayong magkaibigan so you'll know I'm lying when I say no. Sian deeply chuckled. I thought so. Sabi ko at mas lalo lamang lumakas ang kanyang pagtaka. Tumitingkad lalo ang kislap sa kanyang mga mata kapag ganyan. Sumingkit ang kanyang mga mata at saka pasimpleng humawak sa aking likod. I slapped his hand away. Bago tuluyang umalis si Sian ay nagpaalala ito sa kanyang selebrasyon. I greeted him happy birthday one last time. Nang nakasakay na ako sa elevator ay nilingon ko si Sian. His shoulders sagged disappointingly because I still haven't given him a gift. Napailing na lamang ako rito. Mamaya pa naman kasi yun. Romina was still picking her dress for the celebration when I got inside, habang si Beth ay nasa bathroom. Inihanda ko na ang mga gagamitin naming heavy makeup at pang-style ng buhok. I showered after Beth since Romina was still at it. After almost 3 hours. Nakababa na kaming tatlo at inaantay ang si Arjun na susundo sa amin. Is there someone on the front seat? Asik agad ni Romina sa kapatid. Wala! Bakit naman magkakaroon? Depensa naman ni Arjun. All of us girls shook his head at him. Naalala rin siguro ni Romina yung isang beses na binuksan niya ang kotse ni Arjun. Mayroong babae doon. Tulog at tila ba hindi nadamit ang maayos. Pareho silang nagkasigawan at naghimbal. I remember that disaster perfectly and because Arjun couldn't keep his pants on. Stop ganging on me. Reklamo noong malanding lalaki. Bago sumakay ng kotse ay nagkaroon muna ng picture taking sa lobby. Arjun was the photographer. I was in the middle, Beth and Romina on my side. I wore a two-piece dark red dress, which the top was strapless. My torso was bare and a lot of skin was revealed but the color complemented my skin perfectly. Nakataas ang aking buhok ngunit may strand sa gilid ng aking mukha. I wore a two-piece dark red dress. So, Beth wore a stunning Prussian blue chiffon dress. Dalawang slit nito sa magkabilang mga hita at ang tattoo niya mula sa binti pataas ang highlight. While Romina looked so daring in her glittering mermaid dress. It was a low back and also with a low dip on the front. Her tan matched it well. Ready? Itinaas ni Arjun ang iPhone, and we three posed with a fierce look. There were also candid shots at yun ang pinost ko sa Instagram habang patungo sa hotel. Familia ante omnia, I captioned. The event was strictly formal. Chandeliers in the high ceiling were busy watching the ass below. Champagne was flying everywhere, and the enormous amount of luxury was hard not to miss. Hi girls, picture! Our group went to us, and together, we posed for the hired professional media team. It took a while, but eventually, we all went to our specific tables. 5 kami sa isang table na malapit sa unahan at sa pamilya ni Sian. Arjun brought a girl with him in our table, and she's the 5th one. Sa tingin ko ay bago pa man magsimula ang program, patay na ito sa mga titig na Romina. It took a while socializing and greeting Cian's family and all, but eventually we all went to our specific tables. Melody, you look constipated. Flat ang boses ni Beth. Tumagilid ang aking ulo sa aliw. Arjun, she's sweating a lot. I sipped in my champagne glass, slightly swirling it in my hand after. Maganda naman ang babaeng ito, tahimik, mahiyain. Hindi tulad ng mga dinadala niya. Ngunit ang aking big na katanungan, kung may melody siya rito, sino ang babaeng naghatid sa kanya sa airport? Um, I don't see you in our school. Where did my brother pick you from? Romina raised her perfectly done eyebrow. Arjun glared at us three, but he received no response. I personally liked this sweetheart when her lips quivered and her face paled 10 times more, just like a breath of fresh air. Sa isang Catholic school ako galing at nakilala ako ni Arjun nung dumayo sila sa school. She's from Kilian School, ate. I hate that school and all the people in it. Ngisi ng nakakaumay na si Romina. Sa loob-loob ko ay napapahagalpak na lamang ako. Wala naman sa akin kung sa wakas ay magkakaroon ng totoong relasyon si Arjun. Eto naman ang kanyang unang beses na may ipakilala sa amin at nakakatuwa yun. The program saved Melody. Unang nag-speech ay ang mga magulang ni Cian at saka pumasok siya. He looked so comfortable up there, talking to everybody. Kay daming babaeng nakatingin sa kanyang malinis na postura at napabuntong hininga na lamang ako. With him being in his talks and his hairstyle, he looked so neatly gorgeous. That was one of his attributes that I really do find comforting and at the same time attracting. The spark in his eyes looked so genuine and his smile was breathtaking. Cian was the type of a man with a very firm and masculine body that doesn't make him too intimidating to look, but makes you want to hug him. Live in rainbows together. Nakatingin lamang ako sa kanyang mukha kaya naman hindi ko na halos narinig ang kanyang buong sinabi. I may have heard him tell a familiar scenario but I couldn't be so sure. With his eyes stopping to meet mine every now and then, I couldn't really focus. The presentation came next and my smile widened. Ang ipinasingit kong presentation tungkol sa kanya ay ang naisalang sa kalagitnaan at doon ay napahagalpak ako. Some was his embarrassing moments at our school and the crowd roared in laughter. The message I put at the end was enough for me to earn a longing stare from Cian. The trouble against the school council was definitely worth it. Tinanggap ko ang mga tingin ni Cian at tumango. He was a long time and a very dear friend of mine after all. It was a very busy night for him. Halos hindi na kami magkausap dahil marami siyang table na pinupuntahan. Hindi na muna ako lumapit at ang personal sanang ibibigay na regalo ay isinama ko na lamang sa espesipikong table para sa mga gifts. The after party was to take place in a high-end club and by the time we arrived there, the place was booming with booze and cigarette smokes. The evening dresses earlier was discarded and replaced by a much, much shorter one. You're awfully quiet, puna sa akin ni Beth. Napataas ang aking kilay dito. Pinagmasdan ko ang mga kasama namin dito sa VIP lounge, ngunit normal naman silang lahat, so what are you talking about? Umiling ako kay Beth at ngumiti. Sure made to be analyzing me and just shook her head. Uminom ito sa kanyang vodka at nagmasid na lamang. What? After an hour of drinking, I finally gave up on my inhibitions. Niyaya ko si Beth na magsayaw dahil si Romina ay may partner na. She rejected me kaya inirapan ko ito. Hinanap ng aking mga mata si Cian ngunit busy pa rin ito sa kanyang mga guest. I got up and went to the dance floor. Medyo tipsy ngunit kayang-kaya pa. Hey babe, mayroong mga kamay na lumatag sa aking baywang. Tuloy lamang akong sumayaw at ngumiti sa di kilalang lalaki. He's a good dancer so it needs a match. Ilang minutes kaming nagsasayaw hanggat sa nagpaalam na ako rito para uminom pa. That was great! Kanyang puri at tumango na sa akin. I grinned back. Kadarating ko pa lamang sa lounge ay alam na kaagad ni Beth ang gagawin. Tinulak niya sa akin ang 2 shot glass at yun ang ininom ko. Pagkatapos ng 15 minutes na pagyayaya ko ulit dito ay tumanggi na naman siya. My body started burning again so I had to dance again. Yun ang aking routine. I dance with somebody, hoping he'd be nice, but every time I chugged more liquor, I was kinda hoping he'd be naughty. Pagkatapos ng aking sayaw sa isang lalaki ay humiwalay ako rito. He let me. Ngunit agad ding may pumalit sa aking likuran. This one had a very masculine cologne. I loved it and sniffed his neck while we were dancing. Hindi ko pa man nakikita ang mukha nito ay ayos lang sa akin. Mas magaling itong sumayaw kaysa sa nauna. At alam lahat ng aking parte kung saan ididiin at kung saan ang hindi. Hi, Misse. I felt him grin on my shoulder. A shiver ran up my spine. Nawala rin kaagad ang bibig nito, ngunit ang kanyang hininga ay ramdam ko sa tuktok ng aking ulo. Hey, honey. I purred and started to slightly bend down. Even without the song, the alcohol was enough to make me this daring and carefree. Para akong insektong dinidikit ang sarili sa ikakapaso niya. You're not from here, are you? The voice chuckled deeply and the little hairs on the base of my neck and thighs stood up. No, I bit my lips and held his neck. A moan escaped my mouth when large hands gripped my shoulder. Then, where? From heaven? Or from the clinic? Inikot ako kagad ng mga kamay nito at nakita ko si Sian na tamad na nakangiti sa akin. Nanlaki ang aking mga mata. I couldn't believe it, Sian. You little prick. Hinampas ko ang braso nito. Ngunit hinarang lamang ni Sian ang mga kamay. I'm sorry. I just can't help it. Nagsasayaw ka kasi rito at kung sino-sino lang. They don't deserve a goddess, Chris. His breath was still minty with only a tinge of alcohol. Kaya naman pala ayaw sumagot sa aking mga bagyang pag-grind. Kaya pala ayaw ng dirty dancing na sinisimulan ko kanina. And you think you do? I challenged. Still dancing. It's still my birthday. Pinakita niya sa akin ang relo ngunit wala naman ako makita. I laughed and slapped his arm. I loved the presentation earlier, Chris. It was very much appreciated. Naging matino ang mga mata ni Sian at ngumiti ng dalisay. Whew. I whistled, slightly sobbering up. Napanguso ako dahil hindi makapagsalita. You are very welcome. I smiled lazily at him. Although there were some pictures that I personally hate, hindi ko alam kung saan mo nakuha ang mga yun and I have no plans of knowing where, knowing everybody was recording it. Hey! I had to go up against the student council to get every picture in it and I think especially your preschool photos were the cutest. Imagine, the school still kept it all this time, sagot ko. We have a very great team of historians and did I mention I hate historians? Nalukot ang kanyang mukha. Humalakak ako. Sangayon ako sa kanya dahil picture yon ng picture sa aming school. Ngunit nakakatuwa sila. We always need pictures to remind us of something. Halos natapos namin ang isang mix nang may tumawag ulit kay Sian. Nagpaalam ito sa akin with his puppy eyes and I let him go. Kumawa ito sa akin habang paalis at yun din ang ginawa ko. I was left all alone on the dance floor once again. With all the indecent, gentle, boring, and fucking boys around me. I didn't feel the need to dance with someone so I danced alone. Ramdam ko ang kairaming tumitingin sa akin lalo na ang mga lalaki sa aming grupo at mga di kilala. My hands were in the air and my body was swaying to the beat. I closed my eyes to feel the wave of the music and just to feel free. Slowly, I lowered my hands to my head. caressing my hair down to my neck and to my chest. The beat was my partner and it matched my agonizingly slow movements. The hands of my own reached my torso and hips. My fingertips drummed as the beat followed the flow of my body. I felt the material of my dress hiked up the moment I danced slower, bending a little bit. I lifted my hands up once again as the music got wilder. I hummed with a familiar song as an unprecedented feeling crept up my bones. Habang sumasayaw na nakapikit ay nakaramdam ako ng kaibigat na titig sa aking buong katawan. Nag-aapoy at sumisiklab ang titig na ito, kung kaya ang aking puso ay kumakaripas ng bugso. I continued to dance with the music seducing me, but the fury emanating from somewhere only heightened. It was digging a pit filled with wildfire, and I was drowning in that powerful feeling. I shamefully basked in it. Napakagat ako ng labi at ibinukas ang aking mga mata. Halos lahat ay tinitingnan ako kahit na okupado sila ng pagsasayaw. My head swayed and a graceful knot of curiosity formed on my forehead. I looked up and saw a pair of eyes looking down at me. Tiningala ko palalo ang tahimik at madilim na second floor kung saan naroon ang iba pang mga VIP. Nasulyapan ko ang mga kamay na nakahawak sa itim na balustrade, namumuting mga kamao, thick veins protruding from his arms. Eyes burning me with so much intensity. I couldn't fully recognize this man as shadows surround him. I angled my head in amusement and did a little grind with my hands up. Then, I fled the dance floor. "Where have you been?" Bungad kaagad ni Romina sa akin. Finally, dumating din ang babaeng ito. "No, where have you been?" I emphasized dahil kanina pa siya nawawala. "Dancing, of course. With?" Ngiting aso ako. Humahalakhak ako nang inirapan niya ako. Mayroong inuusog na tikila sa akin ang aking kasama ngunit umayaw ako. I've had enough fun already. Naabot ko na ang itinakda kong limitasyon. Oh, shut up, Chris. Bulyaw sa akin ng pulang-pulang si Romina kaya naman humagalpak ako. Naupo ako sa kanyang tabi kung saan ang namumula na rin si Beth ay nakaupo. How about you, Beth? Did you even move from this table? Tumagilid ang aking labi sa kanya. Ganyan naman kasi siyan palagi. Palaging KJ. Did you even breathe? Sigunda ni Romina. May nakikigisa na barkada ngunit napahiya to ng tingnan ng masama ni Romina. You need to loosen up sometimes. We're not getting any younger and this is the perfect time to lose control. And the most important thing is... Bumulong si Romina kay Beth na mas lalong ikinapula nito. Sex is not always the answer, kunot noon niyang sabi. I knew it. I fist pumped the air and laughed hard. Matagal na kinukulit ni Romina yan eh. If you don't like the guys in the south, maybe it's time to try the guys in the north. A Manila boy may finally catch you, malanding side. Right, crazy? Right! I was laughing so hard at Romina. Gisang-gisa na si Beth ngunit dumating kagad si Arjun. Surprisingly, he was not wasted like all the other times when we were clubbing. You three, curfew na. Seryoso niyang sabi at malakas na napamura si Romina. That is a word I will never ever be ready for you to say, dear brother, especially to me. Well, I'm the only sensible person here so you should all listen to me. Curfew. He repeated again and almost stomped his foot on the floor. Mamaya na. Malambing kong sabi rito ngunit umiling na lamang ito. Kung hindi pa tumayo si Beth bilang pagpayag ay baka abutin na kami ng pagsikat ng araw dito sa club. Amoy na amoy ang alak sa loob ng sasakyan at nakisama pang maghatid si Sian. Hindi ko na ito masyadong mapansin dahil hindi ko na rin maidilat ang aking mga mata sa antok at hilo. I could hear mumbling and strong of profanity from both girls. When we entered the building, alam kong inaalalayan ako ni Sian patungo sa elevator. Happy birthday, future Neuro. Panghuli kong bati sa kanya at saka tumakbo ako patungo sa Pasarang elevator. Humahabol si Sian sa akin ngunit kumaway na lamang ako rito. Mahina siyang napamura nang sumara ng tuluyan ang elevator. I mumbled my thanks to this other resident. Ngunit umalis din ito sa third floor. My phone was ringing the whole time, probably Sian calling if I got in my suit. Safe. Tumigil din yon and at the same time, mayroon pang sumakay na isa. I stared ahead, fixing my bloody red lipstick in front of the mirror. The air around us was turning cold and harsh fast. Tension was growing. I exhaled slowly, still fixing my lips. Kinagat ko yon upang mas maging mapula. Suddenly, the lift stopped by the emergency button. Umigting ang aking panga at bored itong tiningnan sa salamin. My eyes coated with smoky eyeshadow confidently matched the raging thunderstorm in his eyes. What do you want from me? Unti-unti kong sabi. Tumaas ng bahagya ang aking kilay. I will always want something from you. And what makes you think I will give it? I can always get it myself. Gab spoke with full authority and power, his eyes bloodshot and giving a warning. Hindi ka pa rin pala nagbabago, Gab. Ang taas pa rin ng tingin mo sa sarili mo. Kalmado ngunit prangka kong sabi. Wala ka pa rin sinasanto dahil tingin mo ay nasa itaas ka pa rin. Kumunot ang noo ni Gab sa aking sinabi. Sumingkit ang mga mata ko sa kanya at casual ding bumalik sa dati. Whatever business you're dealing with my cousin, deal it with somebody else. My father detests parasites in the industry and he will be happy to crush you to pieces. Sabi ko. Arjun simply came to me and I just took his offer, killing two birds with one stone. His eyes glided down from my eyes to my lips and neck, to the whole of me and back up. And I will also be too glad to see him try. Sabi niya. In the reflection, I was still looking at myself when he's looking at me. He closed off our distance with just one stride. Napako ako sa gilid at ang kanyang isang kamay ay nasa gilid ng aking mukha. His body heat was emanating towards me, burning me. Your father made a big mistake to let you go, Chris. You should have stayed home where I can't reach you. His eyes were turning shades darker. His pupils dilating. Inangat ko ang sarili mula sa pagkakasandal at doon ay napaatras siya. Humakbang ako ng ilang ulit habang siya'y hindi kayang pantayan ang aking mga tingin. I pressed the button and the elevator started accelerating upward again. Tell me, is this because your wife couldn't satisfy you enough? Are you this thirsty because she can't feel it anymore? Bira ko pabalik. He looked taken aback and his jaw clenched. I rolled my eyes heavenwards. Is your bed not warm enough, Gab? Are your nights with the love of your life not that fruitful anymore? Seryoso kong tanong. Stop it, Chris. I burned him from the fires of hell he put me under. Puros mura lamang ang aking naririnig at tinatapatan ko ang kanyang titig. Let me tell you that she's not the problem. It's you. Everybody turns cold on you because you are the problem. Malalim ang aking pinanggagalingan. You are the one who couldn't satisfy anyone else, even me. Inayos ko ang aking buhok sa harapan ng salamin. Hirap na hirap itong kainin ang aking sinasabi habang nananatili ako sa aking kinatatayuan. Bukas ang elevator patungo sa aking floor at bago lumabas, ay hinarap ko ito. Stay out of my life, sweetheart. At dito na po muna natin tatapusin ang ating pagbabasa sa ngayon. Kung nagustuhan mo ang episode na ito, pahit naman ang like button dyan. At kung hindi ka pa nakapag-subscribe, pahit na din ng subscribe button. At huwag kalimutang bell all na rin para ma-notify ka sa mga bago nating updates. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig at hanggang sa muli.